You are listening to the SDSU podcast presented by the East Village Times with your hosts Andre Hagberdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome, listeners, back to the SDSU podcast. This is your host Andre Hagberdian. We'll be joined shortly by my co-host Paul Garrison. This is episode 133, and as we continue our assistant coach series for San Diego State football, today's episode is wide receivers coach Lanear Sampson, who is in his first year at that position at San Diego State. Paul and I had a chance to catch up with him during spring camp several weeks ago. It was a great conversation, getting to know him and his philosophy and the things that he preaches to his wide receiver room and as for development and for consistency, work ethic, things like that. Let's get to the interview with Coach Sampson, and then Paul and I will give you our takeaways to close it out. We want to welcome Lanear Sampson, San Diego State's wide receivers coach, to the podcast. How are you doing today, Coach?
Oh, fantastic. How about yourself?
Coach, doing great. Thank you.
Oh, doing great. Thank you for joining us. Last year you coached at Austin Peay under Scotty Walden. There were reports out there that you may be headed to UTEP with Scotty Walden. You're from Texas, although I know not all Texas accepts El Paso as truly being part of the state. But why did you choose to come to San Diego State and work with Sean Lewis?
Myself, and first of all, working at Austin Peay was a pleasure. It was a great time. Obviously, last year we won a conference championship. The year before, we were tri champs that year, and so I had a great time there. Coach Walden's a freaking phenomenal human being, and so the decision wasn't easy. And I can say that. I can say that from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But myself and Coach Lewis, we had a prior relationship back when I first got into coaching in 2016, 2017, when he was offensive coordinator at Syracuse, and we were both under Coach Dino Babers. And so, our relationship goes back, a few years. And, knowing who he is, not only as a ball coach, we all know he's a big-time ball coach and he's a great offensive mind, but more importantly, just the type of person he is. I came sight unseen. I didn't come on a official visit, I would say. I came sight unseen just based off of, who Coach Lewis was as a person. And like I said, I know he's a great ball coach, but he's even a better person. So being able to be back around him again and being in this space with him again has been great, and experience that I wanted to experience once again. And so and obviously coming out to being in sunny San Diego isn't bad as well. So I believe it's one of the best cities in the country to live in. And so it's kind of that part was kind of hard to kind of pass on as well. But like I said, just more so anything, just being around Coach Lou again, and being around a great person, a great leader as him.
Paul had a chance to talk to Nate Bennett after practice yesterday, and Nate quoted you as saying, "The room takes the identity of the coach." Could you explain what that means, and what identity do you want your room to have?
Well, I kind of hang my hat on that. Especially at the receiver position. When you look at receivers, you think about receivers being divas and thinking they're too good to get their hands dirty a little bit, right? And so I try to push my identity on them, and more so like who I am my personality, who I am as a person, but also how I played as a player as well. And so I try to instill the belief in them that, hey, yeah, we're going to go out and catch a lot of balls, but we're also going to run the ball where we're going to be physical on the perimeter, blocking and things like that as well. And so just kind of instilling that in them, like, hey, we're not just out here just going to catch balls all day. Like, no, we're going to get our hands dirty a little bit. It's okay to get our hands dirty, get our hands in the mud and do some dirty work. And so that's, what I want to instill in my players. We're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're not going to have that passive mindset. Like, we're going to be aggressive. in any and everything that we do. And so that's kind of what I mean when I say, hey, the room's gonna take the personality of the coach. You either coach or you allow it to happen at the end of the day. And I really believe in that. So I try to, not try, but I instill that in our guys.
And Coach, when you're looking for a player at the wide receiver position, I mean, in general, what is it that you're looking for?
The first thing first is having a kid that has great character kid, right? Um, at the end of the day, like you can bring bad apples in your room, and obviously you bring enough bad apples in your room, your whole room's gonna be a bunch of bad apples, right? So, I want a great character kid, but a guy that obviously what we do, and we're gonna take the top off the defense. So I want a guy that can be able to run, um, a guy that can be able to catch the football, a guy to be able to finish the runs. Like I don't want to see guys on film running out of bounds or anything like that. Tough guys, physical guys, not just tough physically, but tough mentally as well. And I want guys that call it blue collar nasty. Like I want guys that that ain't afraid to get, like I said, to get dirty, get their hands dirty a little bit, to lock the gate and battle it out. So at the end of the day, like I said, I want guys that can run, I want guys that can catch and things like that, but I want guys that have some heart, that play with a chip on their shoulder, like they have something to prove.
And when you're describing this offense, when we describe this offense, it's always talked about as being a quarterback dream, but that conversely has got to be a wide receiver dream too. So what is this offense? What does a wide receiver do in Sean Lewis's offense?
He does a little bit of everything. Like, you're going to let's first and foremost, you're going to block. Right? We always talk about the RPO game. The perimeter screens is an extension of our offense. It's an extension of the run game, right? Because we're going to be able to block on the perimeter. It's hard to play in this offense, right? If you don't have guys that are willing to go out and block for one another, right? Because, like I said, it's just an extension of our run game. And then two, being able to get chances to line up and get a lot of one-on-one matchups, especially the way our offense is built. You're going to have that chance to have a lot of one-on-one matchups and let your athletic ability on top of the tool belt we give you be able to showcase on the field, right? And then and three, like, yeah, we do like explosive plays. So we want to throw the ball down the field, but we do a good job of turning our guys' strengths to big time strengths. So hey, if you're a guy that can take the top off the defense, then hey, that's how we're going to use you. Not saying we're not going to use it in other ways, but that's how we're going to use it. Okay, if you're more of a, hey, we can put the ball in your hands right now. You can make a couple guys miss in space, right? And also take it the distance. That's how we're going to use it. So we do a good job of playing to our guys' strengths.
Coach, if we're sitting here talking in January after the season and we say, you as a wide receivers coach were successful, what did you do during that season that would have made you successful and the team successful?
Well, it starts with the team, right? Like, us making it to a bowl game, right? Is that our ceiling? No, but I think that is a successful season for us in year one, right? How explosive or how great our offense was, stat wise or things like that too. I'm not big on individual goals. Like, do I want my guys to reach their goals? Oh, sure. Like, as a coach, you want to see that. Like, that's why I come out to practice every day. I want to see everybody reach their goals. But hey, did we do our job? Like, did we block physically on the perimeter? Did we have explosives on the in the perimeter game? Did we have did we catch the ball well? Did we did we limit our mental mistakes? Every game, we're no coaching staff. Every game should be better. Like, if we have 5 MAs in game one, okay, the next game we should have 5. We should have 4 less, right? So just the progression of the guys each and every game, taking in the offense and being able to apply what we learn in the meeting room and the things we do in individual, apply that to the game day. And so, like I said, whether that's offensively we put up big numbers, or as a team we go to a bowl game, as a receiving core, hey, we did a good job. We limit the drops, throughout the season. We got better every day, +1 moments, like things like that. I consider a successful season, for the receivers.
Last question, Coach. Before we let you go, what part do you play in helping create the offensive game plan? And as we're sitting here at the spring, has that been developed yet?
No, we still trying to, that'll be something in fall camp that we kind of get into, as far as the roles and exactly how how it will fit in. Right now we're just installing offense and getting things rolling, getting used to our guys, being around our guys for them to get to know us and for us to get to know them. And so, that's kind of where we're at right now. And then obviously we get closer to game day, them roles will be distributed, and at that point I'll know exactly what my role will be.
Sorry, Coach, got to put you on the spot a little bit. You had some high praise about California recruiting at the recruiting day. But just here, got to get on record, man. Where is the best high school football played in the country?
You put me on the spot there. You put me on the spot there.
Hey, you can always go no comment.
But I California has some good football, right? But near and dear to my heart, being where I'm from, it's hard for me to say that California football is better than Texas football. Now, I'm gonna leave it there. Not saying one of the others better.
Good answer. Good answer.
It can be even.
Absolutely.
It's more of an even playing field than most, I'm sure, Californians will say.
Now, absolutely, and very good answer, very diplomatic. But San Diego State's had a good pipeline. Obviously Heath McCree is coming over from just the 24 class, but you even go back, the players on the roster, etc. What's the key to keeping that open?
I think just being intentional, right? Like, California's a big state, right? And so we want to start in California. That's where we want to start it. This is our stomping grounds, right? Like we want to be deep in California. So we all have California, recruiting areas, and California is first and foremost because it's a lot of talent here, especially at the skill position. And so start there, and then from there, okay. Since we've had success in the past getting kids out of Texas, I think just being intentional about the guys we recruit in Texas, the relationships we have in Texas, and being able to expand throughout the near future. And so I think just being, like I said, just intentional about the guys that you recruit there, because you want to bring guys that are great character guys that fits us, and and not just the stars or anything like that, but what we're looking for in a player as a whole, whether that's on the field, off the field, combination of both. And so, like I said, just tapping into the coaches, the high school coaches there, letting them know, hey, we're going to recruit. We're going to recruit Texas, and so that's make sure that's open and that they know, hey, we're interested in your players, right, and your guys. So that's I would say that's the kind of the biggest thing. But like I said, first and foremost, we're starting in California before we kind of branch out there. And so that's kind of how we go about it.
Coach, definitely appreciate your time. I know it's a busy spring right now, and we look forward to chatting with you again sometime soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right, have a good one.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Paul, as we continue our coaches series, I was Lanear Sampson, wide receiver. Fun guy.
Yeah.
Texas guy. I know the Whataburger and In-N-Out thing was kind of going on social media a little bit. J.R. Tolver kind of egged that one on. But I think, as I wrote in the article about Sampson, the recurring theme in our interview was, don't be a diva. Don't be the typical wide receiver. You want to get your hands dirty. You want to block. You want to work hard. You want to don't run out of bounds, run over somebody, or get that extra yard inbounds. And I think that recurring theme came up through our conversation, and I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out, because the wide receivers in San Diego State have predominantly never been diva-esque. They've always they've always had those attributes that he was talking about. But now they've got a new set of guys in and talented guys from different programs. And so how that persists and how that manifests itself when the games start, I think it's going to be a sign of his coaching abilities as well.
Absolutely. And I think my biggest takeaway from our conversation with him, I think they got the right guy, man. You know, when you looked at the offensive staff, so many of those guys were connected with Sean Lewis that you were like, okay, well, that's why, right? Like you want Sean Lewis to be able to be the CEO who's above it, doesn't have an offensive coordinator. So how does he act as that CEO? Well, the way he acts as that CEO is he know that Matt Johnson is going to be able to have the quarterbacks doing exactly what he wanted him to do. Obviously, Coach O'Boyle, they originally brought him over the offensive line, you know, and so many of that continuity, you're like, okay, this is the reason, right? Coach Barton with the tight ends, and obviously what's happened with Ryan Lindley and how, you know, they work together, but you know, Coach Barton is the leader of that group. And so I think that when they went and they got Lanear Sampson, it was a little bit like, why this guy? Like, why did he go out of his tree for like this like premier position, you know? And I think he answered that. What I like about Coach Sampson is I love that he's a player who's been in the offense. That like he had giant success in this offense as a wide receiver during his playing times at Baylor.
Yeah.
I love how you talked about no divas. Well, he was such a non-diva that he like worked his way to the practice squad and to be in the NFL. I think that's huge because San Diego State has got to be a place like they're not going to be a place that's going to have, as Coach Lewis said in our conversation with him a few weeks ago, like ready-made men, right? Like they're not going to have a ton of those guys and they're going to have to develop. And then I think the other piece of it that I thought that was really great for as far as the hire was he also has experience at Austin Peay under another one of these Baylor-esque kind of offenses, but it's a little bit of a different flavor to be able to marry and to merge, but also as that like passing game coordinator. So he sees the big picture and understands all the pieces between that as if he were kind of that offensive coordinator, you know, from that. So he has the personal experience as the receiver, the big experience as the passing game coordinator, and then being able to do everything in between. So I think to me that was the biggest takeaway, was just like, okay, well that's why they hired this guy. Like it's pretty clear. Very impressive interview. The different, I mean, I don't know him that well. Only had a few conversations with him, but each one you just walk away going, oh, okay. Like this guy's is a people person. You absolutely can see that kids are going to want to play for him. And you know, like I said, why wouldn't you after the conversation we have with him?
Yeah, he's another guy that spoke glowingly about Sean Lewis as a person. I mean, he did tell us they intersected at Syracuse when he was an analyst. So they had some, you know, under the Dino Babers kind of tree, some familiarity, but he talked about Sean Lewis as a person. And every coach we've asked, why did you want to work with Sean Lewis? They talk about the person. So I think he's another guy that fits that. Yeah, I really like what they did with the wide receiver room talent-wise. The guys they brought in. It's now last year you're wondering who actually can get on the field and catch passes. This year you may be wondering like who's not going to see the field that deserves to see the field because there's so many guys. I mean, Mekhi Shaw was the number one guy last year, and he's probably fifth wide receiver like this year. And I don't know what his opportunities are going to be and his targets are going to be. It's a challenge. Obviously, Lanear Sampson is gonna have to deal with that, just like the safeties coach is gonna have to deal with the safeties and corners and all of that. So I'm intrigued by the possibilities and to see who those main 2 or 3 guys are that will step up and be the main target guys, because they're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think the wide receiver room, as you say, I think it's the same thing that you see across the board. Um, yeah, there's guys in there that you can go and you could say, hey, these are solid players, right? But do they have somebody that is the guy, right?
Mhm.
Do they have somebody that is going to strike fear in the hearts of opposing teams? Do you have somebody that you're going to be able to count on 3rd and 6, like every single down that is going to either make the reception or is going to open it up, because defenses are going to say we're not going to let this guy make the reception.
Yeah.
And so I think it remains to be seen. I think that to this point, I don't think there's been a consistent deep threat yet with anybody there. And I the fact that that's come up from Coach Lewis a few times, unless it's unbelievable gamesmanship, I would expect that the teams at the very, very beginning of the year to say, prove that you can do this, because we're going to make sure you can't run. And then this is that you can win one-on-one. And so Coach Sampson, I think he has a lot in front of him in terms of developing the chemistry, finding out, we still don't know how many he is going to rotate in. If they do play as fast as they can, it wouldn't be the one position that does kind of could have a lot of changeover is the guys running 40-yard sprints during that entire time. And so, I think you do look out, and I thought, Nate Bennett, wide receiver, transfer from Portland State, we talked to him after one of the practices, and for him to use the quote from Coach Sampson and then us to go and to kind of turn that around and say, well, what's he talking about when he says that? I think it shows that work is being a part, it is happening. And the question is, will it be enough? I mean, I think that's the kind of bottom line. And, the guys who are there, who are older guys, if I understood it properly, I think Jayshawn Polk is the only guy that they feel really good about. And I think that between now and the start of fall camp, I think there is a ton of movement that can take place. And if older guys in the spring can't completely solidify their position and they're close enough with the younger guys, those younger guys are going to stop being younger guys. You know what I mean? And Balin Brooks might be a guy that's going to like emerge and become that. The consistency of a Mekhi Shaw, I think, can really be important to an offense, especially one that's trying to that timing is such an important element too. So it's a lot there, but as I said, my biggest takeaway was like, okay, this is who Lanear Sampson is, and it's a great hire.
Yeah, they had 8 scholarship wide receivers in the spring. None of them transferred out.
Yeah.
That says a lot about what they feel is going on in the wide receiver room with Sampson. And then there's 3 really talented high school guys coming in, in the next month? In June, July, depending on what summer session they're coming in. So it's gonna be a loaded room for a couple of years for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation with Coach Sampson. We've got a couple more coaches interviews coming up that we had recorded during spring camp. We will get those out to you in the near future, but we will get those out to you in the near future. And definitely we have a special Mother's Day episode coming up this weekend that we did that I think you guys are really going to like. So stay tuned for that on Sunday morning. And we will talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU podcast presented by the East Village Times. with your hosts Andre Hagberdian and Paul Garrison.